before starting, help us all navigate through this case study, very interesting case study, I might say. I would like to make a brief introduction. I'm João, I'm from ANIPE, the National Payments and E-Money Institutions Association. And our main goal is to promote an healthier payments ecosystem in Portugal with more diversity and innovation. So, to begin with, I would like to thank Portugal Fintech, Mariana and João, for this very interesting opportunity to moderate what I believe to be a very good example of a cooperation between an incumbent player and a fintech company, which actually is a good sign of what should be an healthy ecosystem in payments. So on one hand, we have an incumbent leveraging its network and also its financial capabilities. And on the other, we have a tech-savvy fintech with a lot more of a corporate flexibility needed to launch an innovative project. So having said this, and since, once again, we all struggle for an healthier ecosystem, I think this is a very good example, and therefore I'm thankful for having the opportunity to discuss this opportunity today. So we have with us Luís and Miguel, Luís from UNICRE, Miguel from Parcela Já. Luís is basically the head of marketing at UNICRE with a software engineering background and several other studies from management. And Miguel is what we could call a serial entrepreneur, right? So with a rough start at some multinational companies, and since '98 with several projects in several startups. So having said this, I would start with the first question, which is basically for Miguel. So in broad terms, would you mind sharing the story behind Parcela Já and this personal journey of yours?
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Well, it's a really long story. I mean, you can see really probably the oldest guy here, or if not, I know the most. So, it started a really long time ago. Sometimes I'm even afraid to say that, but the idea came like year 2007, maybe 2008, because I was traveling in Israel, and I went to a grocery shop. And there was this guy paying the groceries with a check, 2 checks actually. And he had a small machine reading the checks, and I said, why are you paying the groceries in installments? And he explained me, yes, well, it's quite common here, like in 3 checks. So later on, I developed the idea and came to a bank here in Portugal. I'm not going to say the name, but an incumbent bank, and say, why don't we do this through a terminal, point of sale terminal, regular point of sale terminal. And these 2 big shots of the bank just came to me and said, we were sitting at this meeting, and so they came to me and say, well, we could do that only when, it's a very typical Portuguese expression, quando as galinhas tiverem dentes, meaning that when the chickens will grow their teeth. And that was 2007. So now we're in 2024. Unfortunately, we could not make it then, and that was, I mean, I just grabbed the skeleton, put it on the closet, and later, a few years later, a lot of years later, I took it from the closet and bring it on, and then we started the Parcela Já journey. Unfortunately, probably, we don't know what will be the outcome back then, but we would probably start before then Klarna, we will start before then all these buy now, pay later companies, if we started back then in Portugal. But it has been a really bumpy road and a lot of changes in between. Unfortunately, we managed to find a good partner here that's currently represented by Luís. And we are live and out there in the market with big objectives and big wishes also for this year and for the next ones to come. And we're operating in Portugal physically since lots of months already.
Okay, so since the conception of the idea, 17 years, I would say, right?
Yes.
And you're actually a young soul, so age doesn't matter in this particular case. So, Luís, this question is for both of you, but I would like you to answer first. So, would you mind pointing out the main hurdles one should consider when launching an innovation project in the Portuguese payments ecosystem?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a really pleasure to be here at Fintech House. It's always a pleasure to be here with this team. Also with you. Coming back to your question, so it's really important. I always, although we are in a tech environment, let me call it like this, I always like to look to the needs and to the specific needs of the customers and of the market. What is really important on that question that you raised is to understand the market where you are. What are the key difficulties? What are the key needs of the market and of the customers that you want to target? And then focus and understanding what are the competitors. Don't just run, jump to the solution. Understand well where you are playing, what are your opponents, what are the alternatives, what the market really needs, what are your capabilities, and then afterwards try to find, like here on this environment, the partners, the potential solutions for the problems that you have. Very important also to understand the advantage that you have, and I'm talking always about people and resources, because in the end always come to the resources, people that can work together, that know about the issue, and if you don't have internally, go after this capability, these competencies, and be able to start from the beginning to have a model to retain them. Okay? Because it's really important, especially on the current situation, that you have policies to keep this knowledge with you, these resources, so track them and then keep them with you for the period that you are developing your project. Because, and we face this every day, everyone is looking at and after these resources, and they really have the secrets for the success. So be aware of that.
Okay, thank you. So Miguel, would you like to add anything?
Can you?
Sure. So could you please help us pinpointing the main hurdles one should consider in launching an innovation project in the payments ecosystem in Portugal?
Well, innovation itself is already a huge challenge. Whatever innovation is, and one has to consider, first of all, if you're starting up. Well, let me take a bit of my background. So my first company I started in the year 97. Okay, and all mainly came from the travel industry. So I decided to jump into this financial area a few years ago. And I've incorporated several companies and I launched several companies. That's what I like to do. Really don't like to manage it. I'd rather launch new projects and try to make it live. You need to first set up a team. You need to find financing. You need to build up an MVP. You need to test it in the market, sometimes pivot, and then come back to the market, and even have to find the right idea and make it, put it in the right place. So this is just as a start. Now, if you come to Portugal and you want to do this in the financial space, you have a specific. So it is already difficult, extremely difficult. So 1 out of 10. Startups. How many people from startups are you? Can you raise the hand? Well, probably mostly incumbents.
They're shy.
Maybe they're shy.
Right now, yeah.
Anyway, so this is the process, the regular process. If you are a fintech company in Portugal, you have another kind of, I would say, obstacle, and that would be compliance. Okay. And I'm probably, if you're for a financial area, I imagine that you all are, compliance is probably the biggest issue here in Portugal. It's how it is. I'm not saying it's good or bad. That's how it is. That's a Portuguese market. But on top of setting up the company, going through all these hurdles, if you still need to get a license, which costs in Portugal, if you go for an AMI, maybe you'll have to have like 300,000 euros or 400,000 euros. It will take you 2 years. On top of all the investment that you've done before, you have not proven even your product. So this would be probably one of the main obstacles that we could find here in Portugal as a fintech, which there are solutions out there, and I would like, even I don't know if you have like incumbents or even the regulator here, but probably we could work on that in the sense that helping our ecosystem to become more vibrant and more easy for us to step into this market. I come from different markets. Of course, there are regulations in the markets that I've incorporated my companies, or I started my companies. But this is probably, when it comes to regulation, one of the hardest. I understand why, but it's one of the hardest.
Okay. Just now you said you built your first startup in 1997, back when people were still discussing the wheels. again, a young soul. So, in summary, you're saying that talent and also compliance and regulatory issues should be considered before launching an innovation project, right? So, bearing this in mind, I have a question for Luís. So, what's your view on the fact that other BNPL players, by the way, we're talking about the BNPL project, still hadn't had the chance to mention it. What's your view on other European players, BNPL players, can come into Portugal under the free provision of services license and operate without a credit mediating license, while in Portugal, local BNPL players are required by the regulator to have this license? So there's kind of a bias or a different treatment for, you know, companies coming from other home state members and the ones based in Portugal. What's your view on this?
It's really a nice question for me to act as a candidate to a prime minister. So if you ask me one thing, I will not answer, because I really am a technology guy and also marketing. So I really don't understand a lot about this. I have a team at my company that knows how to work through these difficulties that sometimes we can call it efficiencies. I really believe that we can look to the problems, but I tend from since always look to the solutions, and like we see it together, it's possible to overcome these inefficiencies. I will not say this on purpose. These difficulties, they exist. It's because of some kind of evolution on the regulatory playing field. Yes, if the conditions are not the same, so let's take care of it. That's why we work with and exist organization like yours to make this visible, to find the solutions and to overcome them. But really and frankly, I think these are good opportunities for us to build strongest solutions that can stay, probably are more resilient on the market if something changes. Because like in the data question that was raised here, it's like in my organization, the biggest, let me call it, challengers are inside. If we want to start a new product, you cannot do it, it's not possible. We already tried, someone already tried, it didn't work. And but you need to work against it, build the solutions, and normally you come up with really, if the time doesn't pass, of course, if you have some time for that, you come with the stronger solution. So very frankly, and just summarizing, I think, yes, there are some different challenges for different kind of players, but in the end, if you really focus on the solution, you will find an alternative internally or with a partner or with acting from another market, eventually from another country, but you will find a solution.
Okay, thank you, Luís. So another question for you. So being UNICRE an incumbent, and with all the credit it deserves, it has been repositioning itself lately as an early adopter in terms of innovation and technology. Can we have a sneak peek of what's yet to come, future projects?
Another good question. I always like the incumbent, although it puzzles me that this word, but we are incumbent since 50 years now, so we are turning 50 next April. And we are incumbent since the beginning. We have always innovated, trying to lead the innovations on the payment area. We have been, the market is really covered, so a lot of competitors from a lot of geographies, much bigger than us, in some cases. So you are in a very, where the rivalry is really big on our market. So we really need to focus and to go after other value-added solutions and look to the payment, very important aspect, as your common ground, so where you are building from, but looking to value-added solutions. That's what we are doing with Parcela Já. We are working in some other vertical areas, so this is on the credit. We know that this is a game changer, okay, in the near future. So we are here and we are working with our big merchants network. So it's really important what we bring to this partnership is this, let's call it network architecture. On relation network architecture, and we have been working a lot on trying to bring easier solutions to other verticals, to other players, solution providers that need data, that need the payment, that need the risk analysis, that need a payment method, because we cover the full scope, okay, from the payment method to the payment acceptance methods. We work with local partners, processors in Portugal, also in other geographies. If we cannot find a solution here, we have been doing this from dozens of years, so we find a processor in France or in Luxembourg or whatever, and we bring a solution, and then if this is alternative, we will go after it. So I think we bring, although we are incumbent and we are turning 50, we are really in shape, okay? We can bring this advantage to these startups, fintechs, so other kind of organizations that need our knowledge.
Okay, thanks. So this one is for both of you, and straight to the solution itself. Without revealing the recipe for the secret sauce, obviously, I would like to ask you if you could share a little bit about the value proposition you're presenting with your BNPL service, and if it helps you to differentiate from the herd, you could probably explain us how. So, Miguel?
Okay, well, just want to underline what Luís mentioned. It's important to tell this. And regarding what is incumbent and what is the will of starting or trying to start new things, or putting the effort into building new ideas, or building even an ecosystem inside the own company. Just to say something which is very graphical, it's like 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, I was invited to join a meeting inside UNICRE. And the meeting was around the table, we were maybe about 30, 40 people, CEO involved, CCO involved, all the big people of the bank involved in brainstorming how to tackle issues and how to market the product. This is something that I've never, ever seen in a big company as UNICRE, and particularly what we call incumbents. So this tells a lot about the game changer inside the company that Luís was mentioning. Considering, I'm sorry, and that's not because you're here, but it's
about this example too, João.
But it's extremely important. This is one of the most important things if you want to change mentality, and you will have all the C-levels plus all the rest of the team in the pyramid involved into something that is so strategic as a project like this. Coming back to your question, because I'm old, I forgot it. Can you just?
Yeah, no, sure. If you have any specific value proposition that allows you to differentiate from the herd.
Yeah, well, strategically we decided. I mean, we've seen that on the online space, buy now, pay later is extremely populated already, and you have very big, huge challengers. I mean, I'm sure you will know Klarna. It's already been mentioned here before, and many other players in Europe and across the world as well, but particularly in Europe. Even though we are a tiny country, and I mean we are working under the radar, so people probably will not. I mean, these big shots will not come to Portugal and see what we are doing here because we are just 12 million people. But we decided to bring something different to the market strategically, so we decided to go offline. And offline offer the buy now, pay later solution through a point of sale terminal, physically inside the store. Something that you cannot buy online. I mean, we will have soon the online solution for any e-commerce. It will be there in the next couple of months probably. It's already been tested and it's working. But what I'm saying is we needed to find our own niche, and that's where we spotted. So we decided to come to the offline. We still know that more than two-thirds of the transactions in retail shops are offline. I mean, e-commerce is very sexy, but still two-thirds of the transactions are offline. So we wanted to be there, we wanted to be present. And of course, UNICRE is the biggest player on offline and point of sale terminals. So that's the perfect partnership here. And without saying much more, that's the reason why we decided to get into this specific niche for the time being.
Okay. Thanks, Miguel. Another one for you. So in this current environment with rising interest rates, where other BNPL players already paid their toll, do you have any concerns in terms of monetizing this new solution?
Well, the raise of interest rates works in our favor. Okay, so I mean it's not good for end consumers, but for buy now pay later it's an advantage. I have to say that. I mean, we have to be reasonable and we have to consider, we have to be financial savvy on how to spend our money. We also know that our solution, buy now, pay later, costs zero to the end consumer. So if in fact the end consumer is financial savvy, he will probably use a buy now, pay later solution like ours instead of paying interests. But the fact is that for consumer credit, the rates of the interest rates will surely increase the costs for end consumers. So I'll take it as an advantage. Unfortunately, as an overall scenario, macroeconomic scenario in Portugal or across Europe, even across the world, it's not so good. That's a fact.
So you don't think you will lose traction with the merchants in that regard?
No.
That shouldn't pose a...
No, we will.
Okay.
That will benefit from that. So, but I will leave that probably to Luís to answer that. Maybe.
Would you like to add something?
Is on the bank side.
Yes, it's exactly the same. So the current situation is really positive on this sort of solution because, as I was referring, so this is a trend that it's not coming from now. So it started a few years ago, and we see the compound annual growth rate on this product is pointing at more than 10-11% in Europe in the next 5 years. So we will reach a few billions in a couple of years. Number of users will double in every 5 years, so next 5 years. And the inflation, so some difficulties will of course create an opportunity for people to try to buy something and to pay it in a longer period without interest. And this boosts also the productivity, the profitability of the merchants, so of the businesses. So I think this is really what we call a win-win solution. Everyone wins here. Of course, there needs to be responsibility. It's the same as if you give a fast car to someone, you know that there are rules that you should comply. But yes, you need to be aware of the risks. This is a big concern of us. That's why we started small. We limit the amounts. We are only considering Portuguese citizen card holders for now, and we will go this try to drive and to steer this evolution. But yes, the actual economic situation is really positive on this sort of kind of products.
Okay, great. So one of the refreshing things I've seen here today is at least 3 companies applying for payments or e-money licenses in Portugal. It's always refreshing, you know, to get across these adventurers, let's call it this way. Having said this, you represent 2 relevant players in the ecosystem. So could you share any recommendations to foster a growth in the Portuguese payments landscape? So how can we bring greater diversity in terms of players and talent, as well as to create a leading ecosystem in terms of innovation? Do you have any recommendations you'd like to give?
I can start. So I would say, because I think it makes sense here where we stand today, that with such a competitive market, with 3 applying, but much more are coming already with this license to operate, I think we should look always to the local market as a testing playground to start, but always aim global. So I think we need the Portuguese organizations, companies need to aim at being a born global, so meaning to look to a bigger market, because otherwise this is already small and will get smaller in 1 year from now. So I will probably stress this. Okay, so if you want to be, we have solutions that grow and give profitability and allow you to continue to grow at least 2 digits per year. That's what an investor looks at. Look to the bigger market.
Go global.
Go global.
Okay, Miguel.
Or at least European, at least.
Miguel.
Well, that's a really long answer for that question, but I'll try to summarize in like 2, maximum 3 points. The first would be, we are a small market, as we discussed here, and so it's difficult if you just focus in Portugal to have enough volume of customers or revenues or business to generate enough income to invest in different geographies. So I would say that the first challenge would be find the right investors, which is in Portugal, or try to go at least Europe-wide and find these investors, which is not easy. Okay, it's good to test as a market, but it's not enough to grow and escalate throughout Europe or even the world. That's the first thing. The second thing is regulation, particularly on the financial space. It would be extremely helpful if you have, for instance, DECO here, somebody was asking a question, so if DECO would probably sit at the same table with the regulators and understand what is in fact the most important thing for end consumers. And the most important thing for end consumers is agility, spend less money or save more, have a better service. And this, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's my mic, I'm sorry. But this is something that has to be done in Portugal, which is, we are probably not there, or I don't know if there's some discussions out there, but I've not seen. And I hope that this comes as soon as possible, because it will help also our ecosystem to grow and even to challenge another, it's mine, sorry. And also to challenge another startups coming from anywhere in the world. The third thing is talent. Portugal is also, again, a small country. We have a lot of talented people, but again, it's a country of really small salaries. So the most talented people, which typically are youngsters and are more willing to adopt innovation, they tend to go. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for entrepreneurs, it's a nightmare for the economy, it's a nightmare for innovation, whatever. It's a nightmare for anything. And we are not really opening as much as we should for newcomers, immigrants. So these probably will be the three main challenges, I would say, that we will be facing in Portugal, particularly on the fintech space.
Okay, thank you very much.